Birmingham, 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 Birmingham. Ah, yes, the Addams family has had quite a history in realms of TV. From the early in innings created by Charles Adams, to the modern day, the Adams themselves always found their way to pop culture as one of the most iconic families in pop culture. And it's something that has been revisited through the many decades. Okay, with their most recent event and just being on Netflix, thanks to a little series from 2022, Wednesday. Now to recap my thoughts on that series, that first season of Wednesday, I really loved that season. It was also great. 8 series with a strong story and an engaging mystery, incredible visuals, and some great characters with some stellar acting. So when I heard we were going to get a season 2, I was very excited. I did, and now that the entire season is fully out, I have I've decided to check it out for myself, and like the first season, give a little review of my thoughts. Now I will be going to spoil spoilers for this season because for some of my points I wanted to make on this series, I will have to go into spoilers. So if you have yet to see the whole series, then I recommend and stop watching this video. But with that being said, what did I think of Wednesday Series 2? I thought it was really good, very good. This was a great series, but was it better than Series 1? No, but it was still a great series in its own right. I'll start with my negatives and get them out of the way. As much as I do love this series, there are some things that did feel a bit off to me. It won't. I think it would be how most of the mysteries and big plot points of this even are revolt. Ill and then thought altered with very quickly. Now I do understand that there is a lot of main story lines to the season. So it's full all this just to finish them all off in the finale. So I understand and revealing and finishing them off during the season. However, some on the moments do feel very rough. Like at the end of the first season, we found out that Wednesday has a new stalker, which was revealed at the end of Series 2. Then, and we learned that there was this kid, Ella, who has the ability to control all birds. It was revealed by episode 4, and then and was killed off at the end of episode 5. And then there's the big main story line, which I'll admit, finishing quicker than I expected didn't bother me as much. but it is something I was surprised they didn't continue to the end of the season. And that's with Wednesday having a thing of feet. Isn't that she's responsible for Enid's death, and so she has to get down to the bottom of the mystery, and stop Enid from dying. I, I am glad that they kept this throughout most of the season, and had it go through over halfway. And they did resolve it well out at the end of episode 6. It is something to think about. Unlike the others, I didn't mind that they resolved quickly. I just thought they resolved it a bit too quickly. The main reason why I wasn't bothered is that how even from the Wednesday was able to save Enid, there was a big twist at the end, and that one of the Adams was going to die. The reason why that kind of bothers me is that as interesting as an idea as that was, and it offer a lot of tension to make the final two episodes as great as they were. I do feel like it was added in last minute. If they found out the way to make Enid's possible death, one of the Adams' possible death, then I think it would have been handled a lot better. But that was my main problem, bigger issue with it revealing things a bit too quick. Otherwise, I do think the main story itself is very interesting. There are a lot of key plot points that are revealed throughout the season that has me fully invested. A big reason would be with the characters. Because I really like how the film. I really do like how the season does go over other things to went and staying in his dynamic, which was handled very well. Over the season, while Wednesday is doing everything she can to prevent Auntie Enid's murder from happening, and wants to make sure that she's not responsible. However, but I do think Wednesday gets a bit more complex and interesting as a character this season. So as she's been abusing her psychic ability, and as punishment, she loses it. It's only for her determination to solve the mystery and pretend Enid take over her, and could possibly make things worse for her herself. Enid is handled very well on the season, although I wasn't a huge fan of how they caught up with the first season, with having her take the place of Wednesday and put her in a love triangle between in Ajax and a new character called Bruno. No, it did have an okay resolution and I'm glad that Enid and Bruno never forgot altogether, especially when it was revealed that Bruno had been eating on Enid. But it was something that did kind of bother me. However, I really did like the dynamic between Wednesday and Enid this season, especially in the 6th episode. So with the two swap bodies. Now, body swap is common in most TV shows. And of course, they do learn the typical lesson since about out each other and start to understand each other a bit better. To help. However, it was something to help you get invested if they don't make and what made that one of the highlights of the it was for me. It was the performances of Jenna Ortega and Miles. I was saying how the both of them have been spectacular this season, especially Jenna Ortega. Because still, being is incredibly sharp up as ever from last season. And I think Hannah Myers did improve her performance as Enid. However, when the two swap bodies in episode 6, they bring their characters to life in new ways. This is especially noticeable if Jen, and a way you can tell she's just having fun with is having Enid being in Wednesday spot. Or the Anne Myers is also amazing with Wednesday being in Enid's body, but I think out of the two of them, Jenna was easily the standout. Which moves me onto some of the other acting. I'll say now that all the acting for this season is very good. Of course, Jenna's MVP, but for actor that I really loved in this season was when the new antagonist, Steve Buscemi, as Principal Doc, or the new Principal of Nevermore Academy. Now, as a character himself, I'll admit, it kind of weak. It's all obvious that it'll end up being a twist villain. As he definitely has his own agenda, especially to get Morticia's front upon her side. On its side. However, Buscemi's just having so much fun in the role. That helps make this character as charming and as fun as possible. In fact, when it's revealed in episode 7 that he's one of them an antagonist, that's when Buscemi has as much fun with the performance almost as possible. Not to mention when Bianca uses her ability to have Buscemi have thought or confess everything. Or just giving Vin a defeat. That's just so satisfying to watch. Speaking of Bianca, she's a fantastic character in this season. So you can see Dort manipulating her throughout the entire series. So, and when it's revealed in an episode, Evan that Dort was responsible for 18 Morning Song, on which is the scam song, Iron's song of Bianca's mother got involved. Of which, if you can see how Bianca is struggling to help her son, Elf or fellow Dort know what could happen if she disobeyed him. I also really like how they developed Bianca's relationship with Ajax for the season. Since Enid and Ajax kind of break up in episode 3, I'm glad the two of them did get a bit of a bond on together. So it did get me very invested. However, the one highlight I'll give to the season is how the Addams family feel a lot more involved with everything that is going on whether it be Morticia showing her concerns for when, and they all put Ugly trying to make a friend and that Alda at his joint Wednesday and Evermore, or even go almost show on his cat Aaron and Wicked put us in that attitude to the family. Their addition to the season makes them seem a lot more invested and interestingly enjoyable characters. I especially really like Pugsley Smart on Fiji. I'll make it. Eugene did get a bit of a downgrade where he went from one of my favourite characters from the season to a minor role where I did kind of forget that he has an arc of trying to be friends with Pugsley. But Pugsley himself was as a character, to especially actually when he's responsible for bringing back who I consider to be the main villain of this series. He's a sort on be day actually called or slow. Who is there and later to review it'll be an old classmate Asa from Isha and Gomez as Gomez as a original best friend. But yeah, I'm just calling him Slap because I'll admit I did kind of forget what his main name is, but he was a great antagonist for this season. I like how he seems like he's going to be a little bit of a minor nuisance since in the first half, but when the second half kicks in, him and he becomes more human, then he becomes more of an active antagonist throughout. And I especially love of one thing about it, and that's his connection to Tyler and his mother, for Francois, who turns out to be Slap's brother. But before I get into them, I'll talk about Tyler briefly. I do like for the first half of the season, we see him trapped as a prisoner in Willow Hill. And his performance by his actor is absolutely fantastic. Throughout the season, so especially in the second episode where he's trying to manipulate Wednesday when Wednesday goes to the fit. Is it him? And Wednesday's just having none of that, and when Tyler was released at the end of episode 4, or it makes this I can have seen more or engaging with his involvement from out the seat. So then there's one scene in an episode so far where Tyler's taught or to go also is that I should have gone who I was saying and I did die at the end of episode 2. It will try to investigate the mystery of these bars. As entire Tyler's acting was honestly phenomenal, showing the rage and anger he was giving at his foot through that scene. But I really like how we get to see Tyler's mother front and spot. At the end of episode 4, we were shown this mysterious woman that Wednesday saved. We weren't told who she was. Us or what her main motive was going to be, and then in the second half, it's revealed that and she's Tyler's mother, which does make sense. And as the season goes on, I, I, and I think she gets a lot more interesting when it's revealed that Slut is her brother. But and the dynamic between Slut Francois and Tyler, it's a dynamic that made the final 2 episodes for me, as I was fully invested with these 3. There's also a new character to introduce to the season, called Agnes, who was revealed to be Wednesday's stalker, and despite the stalker being revealed a bit too early, in my opinion, I really love this character. Agnes is such a beautiful or a menacing psychopath in her own way. And her performance throughout the season is that very intriguing, and I do like how she considers Wednesday to be a role model, but does us understand and the cat. And Chad's Agnes tries to be a bit too much, actually like Wednesday. Luckily, Enid who shut onto resent Agnes at first, and I don't blame her, as Agnes was responsible for nearly killing her and Bruno, at the end of the second episode. Even Enid was able to help Agnes understand, and that it's okay for Agnes to be her own person. I also really like how Agnes is able to turn invisible, which makes her more creepy and more threat, or of a devilish and then she already is throughout the season. And so now let me finish the characters off with if some of the other minors family. Fastal was great in this season with his role in the fort. Or so being when Anstey's main help out Fastay's actual hit. And was able to give out some great comedy. Dean Morticia's mother was interesting, as she added a bit more of a mysterious edge to the series, especially with her daughter or want Morticia's mother to be the most invested over with his scheme, even on his plan, and then it's revealed to be very interesting, especially in the finale. And it's revealed that he's the right hand of Slash, which I thought was a great reveal. And how can I or get at the principal Weems doesn't make a return on this season. Ethan, then of course, also that's when Anthony's new spirit guide in the second half of the series, which I'll admit did raise a few questions for me. First of all, I am annoyed that the marketing revealed it had to be Wednesday's new spirit guide in the second half of the season. Second off, of her being related to Wednesday, with them being fighting cousins and tries to remove, it felt like a forced excuse to have her as a spirit. Eric got then to have names in the season. So I'm glad that they managed to keep Weems out, and Annie didn't revive of the fear that Williams was somehow able to survive the nightshade poisoning at the end of the first season. But it just felt a little off to me. And it did take me a while to accept. But that doesn't change the fact that I thought Williams was a solid character here. Yeah, and someone that did get invested. Now that I'm done with talking about the characters, which took me a lot longer than I thought, or I'm going to get into what I think is the best part of this season, and that's how it ups the horror. Right, there was definitely a bit of horror and mystery within in the first season, but it's definitely more noticeable on the second season. And I think the more it ups the horror, the more engaging it makes the season. There are so many horrific twists in time, and so I'm most likely to give if the audience is a bit of a jump scare. But I tell you, it really helped intensify the season and made it a lot more mysterious than it already was. Which I found out to be quite engaging. And quite interesting. And the comedy throughout this season is very good. It never feels like it's interrupting the more serious moments. And it is it used to balance out those darker moments, which I do really like. Also, I think I'll conclude by saying that this is a visually amazing series. The visuals in season 1 were already the impressive for what they were, but season 2 went bigger and better with the visuals. Nevermore looks a lot more grand and at this time, and with all the different camera angles that have been used to make this school all seem more grand and mysterious area. Has done it all already, but which I did enjoy. I found I to be a lot more invested with the visual. Or part of that also some unique techniques that the visual also that has me very invested. This is especially the case in the first episode, although reveal Slap's backstory of how he done, and it's shown through stop motion. Of course, Tim Burton is no stranger to stop motion, as he has created a few stop motion action films before, like Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, and technically The Nightmare Before Christmas, even though that's more of a Henry Selick film. And the stop motion in that scene show on a bit of Slap's backstory of how he passed, as was honestly so exciting. I think, and so awesome to watch. Also, the visuals really help the action this season. So the series feels a lot more intense and more exciting this time around. And the visuals really up the ante, leaving the viewer on the edge of their seat throughout most of the intense moments, especially in the climax of the final episode, which I will admit, despite a few flashy lights, the climax for this season is some might actually be better than the final battle to in the last season. So to conclude, Is Wednesday a season 2 better than season 1? No. But it did come close. While I definitely do prefer season 1, and season 2 is still a great and fantastic season. So sure, this season does rush through some of its story beats, and I'll even say now that the season does bite off a lot more than it was to the point where the season can feel a bit too over and bit. It's just, but that didn't change the fact that when the season got something right, it nailed it perfectly with a very exciting and intriguing story, or incredible visual effects, complex and engaging characters, phenomenal acting, and may I add a wonderfully score, and some great 8 and 10 and horror added that helped make this season more investing. If you love the first season of Wednesday, you are going to adore season 2. It's definitely a fun, fantastic season, and one I would recommend. No, season 2 isn't better than season 1. But hey, it didn't change the fact that I really love this season, and that's why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And seeing how it set everything up for season 3, I'm excited to even we return to Wednesday, and the rest of the Adams and Nevermore for more exciting and intriguing mysteries. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you next time. Bye.